question for the record, we'll call that.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I thank all of our witnesses. Clearly, scamming elders has been going on for way, way too long. And I think they are a particularly vulnerable group of people because perhaps part of it is that, one, they may have resources, but two, they may be trusting. They may be trusting. I remember telling my mom, who lived with us, that if anyone ever calls, to not respond to them, and she said, "But that's very rude." I said, because I told her, "Why don't you have to just hang up?" She said, "That's very rude." I said, "Well, then just say no, thank you, and hang up." But I think that the fact that they're very vulnerable is. One wonders what more we can do. I think there's more, of course. So I think there's bipartisan support for the idea that we should work together to combat this type of targeted fraud, but it's pretty much all kinds of fraud that has to do with financial fraud. And the thing is that it bothers me that in February the CFPB was effectively shut down. And as we know, CFPB educated Americans about scams and responded to complaints, and it returned over $21 billion from basically financial scams. So this is not a time to be shutting down a very effective agency, and that's probably maybe one of the reasons that it's being shut down. And then in April, the DOJ announced that it was disbanding its National Cryptocurrency Enforcement Team and would no longer target crypto mixing services that criminals used to launder the proceeds of their scams. And I led a letter to the DOJ asking for a briefing on this topic, but have received no answer. And we know that there are these crypto ATMs that are very busy scamming money from unsuspecting people. So there's a lot going on, and hearing from all of you, I was particularly interested in Ms. Gunther saying that, and you represent AARP. Now, that is one group that spends a lot of time informing your members about these kinds of scams. But you mentioned that there's more that the financial industry can do to alert people. Could be alerting their relatives that their parents are being scammed, or whatever. And you said that Australia had done something, had enacted legislation to enable financial institutions to put holds on what could be raise red flags. Can you tell us more about what Australia has done?
Yeah, absolutely. Australia is a great, promising practice. It's been in the last year or two that they've put this together. They've done kind of what we've all been talking about here today, which is a coordinated national response, but it's also bringing all of the players in the ecosystem, every point of the scam, of the journey of the scam for a consumer, whether that's telecom, social media, the financial industry, tech companies, all together to make them responsible, because I think we're looking just at the end point, which is the financial industry. And to your first part of your question, is that the financial industry, their arms are tied because they're not able to, when they tell or sees, hey, this is suspicious, there's a red flag here. They're not able, and that person still wants their money because of old regulations, they have to process that in about half of those states. Half the states don't have the ability to hold.
So do the other witnesses agree that this is something we can look at following what Australia is doing to bring a lot of people together? In fact, Mr. Burke, I think you said that there should be a nationally coordinated response to these kinds of scams. So would you agree would all of you agree that we need to focus on what's happening to our elders and put together a national response? Would you all agree that that would be a good thing? And it would probably require legislation.
I mean, I can say I agree. I think there's a lot of work the industry's doing. There's little segments of work that's across it, but I think we need a government-led national strategy that's in coordination with the private sector. Absolutely.
I couldn't agree more.
Okay. I did have one last question for Ms. Helm. It sounds as though your mother, not only was she scammed by this romance scam, but even when she knew that this was a scam, she still continued to want to participate. So there's a whole psychological aspect to this kind of scam that we need to also address.
That's the biggest riddle of this whole thing. I could not get my mother to stop. And all the families I speak to, about 90% of them email me or call me and say, how can I get my family member to stop? And that's the answer that keeps me up at night. I don't have an answer. I know we do need more therapists who are aware of the problem. And there is one therapist in particular, Kathy Wilson, out of Littleton, Colorado, who is putting a program together to teach other therapists about the emotional impact of romance scamming.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.